r/AskReddit. What's a medical condition that sounds too insane to be true? Autobrewery syndrome, aka Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Basically, carbs are turned into alcohol in your intestinal tract and you get drunk from eating them. Sounds good at first, but imagine never being able to eat carbs before going to work, driving your car, etc. Cluster headaches. This is it. This is the most pain a human is capable of experiencing. Women who've had children say childbirth is a walk in the park compared to this. Soldiers who've had limbs blown off would rather step on another landmine than have another episode. This is pain turned up to 11, and then snap the knob off. What causes it? Nobody ducking knows. Of course, it can happen to anybody, at any time, for no apparent reason. Oh yeah, and there's no treatment. You just have to sit there and take it scream. It is so named because the attacks come in clusters with several happening on an almost daily basis for weeks on end. And then nothing for a while. Maybe a few months. Just enough to give you hope that this nightmare might be over. And then bam, it's back. Full intensity, no mercy, no hope for a cure. Did I mention that this condition has a nickname of suicide headaches? Because it does. The one that turns your body to bone. I couldn't imagine having my muscles slowly solidify. Sorry for mobile link. nmwikipedia.org link. Fatal familial insomnia. Guaranteed death through the inability to sleep. And lots of horrors along the way, that is, hallucinations and madness. Seeing sounds as colors. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Specifically type 3, hypermobility. It's genetic and caused by collagen deficiencies. It makes you super flexible, to the point where your muscles can't keep your joints in place. This is the reason I can lick my elbow. I just slip my shoulder slightly out of place. At one point, I stopped shutting the door to my bedroom because I couldn't grip the doorknob due to my fingers slipping out of place. I kept getting stuck in my room. It can be very painful, and also has other diseases associated with it. Usually people with this tend to have a lot of dislocations and subluxations. Edit. The Wikipedia page. For anyone that's curious. Edit. For anyone struggling with this or who wants to know more, there is r/Ehlers-Danlos, if I spelled it right. Hemispatial neglect makes no sense. Short version. The brain only recognizes usually only the right side of your body, of things etc. The left side is neglected. If asked to draw a circle, patients will draw half a circle and end it with a straight line up the middle, and they are completely unaware of their distorted perception. I learned about this in speech pathology for whatever reason. Give a patient a plate of food, they will eat exactly one half cut down the middle. Very weird mental illness. Couldn't really believe it until I saw video of it. Holoquinichthyosis. What happens if your skin was rock hard and scale-like, instead of soft and supple? Nightmares. Edit. To everyone who Google searched it, I told you IT was nightmares. Warning. Do not look this up on Google image search. Exploding head syndrome is my favorite. Ciguatera is an neurotoxin found in some fish that eat toxic algae blooms. You can get it if you cut yourself cleaning fish. Edit. Or if a fish containing the toxin isn't cooked properly. There is no way to remove the toxins or know if a fish has it. Avoiding predatory reef fish is your best option. One of the symptoms is your sense of temperature is reversed. Like you could drink a glass of ice water and it would feel like you poured boiling water in your mouth. Or touch a hot stove and feel like you are touching dry ice. Prosopagnosia, the inability to recognize his faces. I think I might have this. I should figure that out. I normally recognize people I don't know well by their hair. And if I see them outside of where I met them, I very rarely recognize them. I can't remember what people I do recognize look like until I see them. Like right now I have no clue what my boyfriend looks like. And I can only explain what my mom and other family members look like because I would spend time analyzing their faces. Things like she has a long nose with a bump in it. Witzel such which is characterized by making bad jokes and puns, which one then laughs at continuously. So, that's Ondine's curse, or congenital central hyperventilation syndrome. Basically, in the most severe cases, a genetic defect makes it so that you are born not capable of sensing when you need to breathe. Have to spend your whole life on a ventilator with a tracheostomy, although some progress is being made with diaphragm pacing. Capgras delusion, a disorder which causes the sufferer to believe that someone they know has been replaced by an identical copy. My dad treated a woman who had this. She thought her entire family was replaced and they were spies. It's not as funny as it sounds. It was quite heartbreaking. She wouldn't speak to or acknowledge her children except to scream curses at them. What a horrible situation for those around her. Alice in Wonderland syndrome. nmwikipedia.org link. There was a guy who didn't ask me anything a while back who was allergic to his own semen. No, he didn't drink it. If he ejaculated at all, he went through several weeks of pain. The ultimate no fapper. Tourette's syndrome with coprolalia. If you asked a 10-year-old boy to come up with a disease, it would be this. The uncontrollable urge to utter obscene words or socially inappropriate remarks. My sister has Tourette's but without the swears inappropriate remarks. On one hand, I'm sure things are much easier that way. On the other, she used to get super pissed that people only knew it as the swearing disease and felt embarrassed because she just made noises. She has a minor case and medication gets rid of it, thankfully. If we include mental illnesses, I have always found paranoia interesting. The thought that there is a conspiracy existing to benefit you rather than being out to get you is awesome. Paranoia. Psychology. Wikipedia.org link. Psychology. Locked-in syndrome. Pregnancy. If you read this, what happens to the body? It's right out of a science fiction movie. Cold urticaria. My son has this. Basically, he's allergic to cold. In fact, any rapid temperature change causes him to go into anaphylactic shock. For instance, we first discovered this when he was an infant. If his face was exposed to cold air, like in the winter, his whole face turned into a leathery, old man-like consistency as it swelled up and became wrinkled. It faded when we got him in warm air after about half an hour. One bad episode left burst blood vessels in his face for weeks. When he was a little kid, no one believed us. They gave us that smarmy knowing grin of first parents and made up disease. Everyone is allergic to cold. Silly. When he was 6, one of our relatives let him play with a hose one cold morning, and he exploded with red hives. He looked like he'd been splattered with hot grease. When he was 8, a kid threw a snowball in his face, and his face swelled up so bad. The kid, who was 11, was detained by police and social workers because there's no way a snowball could do that kind of damage. They called the hospital and an ambulance came because my son couldn't breathe. Parent versus parent fun ensued when my son's face got back to normal indoors, and the parents accused us of making our kid dramatic. But the EMTs swore that the EpiPen saved him. From time to time, the space between his mittens and jacket was a swollen red ring to the point it scarred him until his teen years. It looked like he had rope burns. When he was a teenager, he spent too much time in the hot tub and then dove into a swimming pool and went into anaphylactic shock. He was temporarily blind and had to be in the ambulance for a while before they let him go. It's better now that he is an adult, but when people don't believe him, he just puts an ice cube on his skin to make the magic happen. Trimethylamanuria, fish odor syndrome. Progeria, causes young children to age early and rapidly. Example of 7-year-old, Adalia Rose. Williams syndrome. It's a neurodevelopmental disease caused by a chromosomal abnormality that causes a person to have elf-like facial features. Think Santa's elves. Not Legolas, but more importantly they have highly developed language skills and cheerful demeanors. nmwikipedia.org link. I knew a doctor who had constant, unrelenting hiccups. Every sentence I ever heard her emit was punctuated by hiccups. She, hic, sounded completely, hic, miserable. Eventually the constant pressure from the hiccups caused bleeds in her eyes and she started going blind. After that, they tried to install some kind of pacemaker in her brain to manage the hiccups, but it didn't work. I'm not sure what happened to her in the end, but she became so disabled she could no longer work. I think it may have ended up killing her. Cotard delusion, a mental illness where you are completely sure that you are dead. Blindsight. My mom had a brain tumor that messed with her hormones and made her skin tan. It was from Cushing's disease, but I don't know how exactly it made her skin tan. Foreign accent syndrome. A stroke or head trauma causes a change in speech pattern that makes it sound like the sufferer is speaking with a foreign accent. Klein-Levin syndrome aka Sleeping Beauty syndrome. Random attacks of sleep usually lasting about 20 hours a day for a week. When you are awake during the episode your brain is completely scrambled. Source: I had it on and off for 8 years. This thread is the most disturbing and scary thread I've ever read on Reddit. I am beyond paranoid now. Morgellons disease. Interestingly enough, the last time I read about it was a couple years ago, and back then it still seemed like there was some question about whether or not it was real, or at least there wasn't yet a consensus in the medical community. But now, according to that Wikipedia article, the consensus seems to be that it is actually delusional parasitosis. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.